Hey guys, sorry, I was watching the press conference for after Gannon's trial and lost track of time. Um, I didn't get to finish it, but I'll go ahead and finish it. That one. I'm so happy for a guilty verdict, as I'm sure all of you are as well. It was a crazy trial, and it was the best possible outcome for that trial and that situation. Life without parole. Hey Jenny. Hey Queen Bella. Karma. Fairy dust. Oh, hang on one second. My dog, I have the window up and so he can look out, and whenever people walk by, he likes to growl at them. I call him like the mayor of town because he's always judging people. So let me close that real quick so he doesn't start barking. He's really a judgy dog. Hey, voices. So a lot has happened in the last 24 hours. Well, in my opinion, it's a lot anyway. Hey, blank slate. I did close the window. Uh, I know. He's so judgy. I tell you what, he's the judgiest little cutest dog ever. Hey D. Hey Burden. I'll drop the link if you want to hop up here. I'm sure you know all of this stuff, but I just wanted to go live real quick, and this won't be long. Definitely not like our last one. We'll keep it really short, but it's just a lot of info. So I wanted to get through it with you guys. And if you don't know about this case, go watch my last video, my last live on it. And then Burden of Proof has a lot of information on it. Jonesin does as well, and Kate does crime. So there's a lot of great creators out there covering it. Hey, Burden.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, love? Have you
Good.
seen everything? I'm sure you've seen everything, but
Yes, I've been watching all the things that are going on, and wow. I mean, I'm happy that
Mhm.
we're seeing something move forward.
Me too. They have the lawyer who has been involved, and he has really been making a big push for this family, for the families of Ivy. Well, he's working just for Ivy, right? Ivy's
Yes.
family.
Yeah.
But he's been doing a big push on this, which will help all the families. So, hi, Betty Boop. Okay. So, this first one is the interview that the lawyer did with Oklahoma News 4. So, I'm going to go through that really quick. It's pretty short, only a couple minutes.
Dive teams were searching ponds on the property where a horrific Okmulgee murder-suicide took place last week. One family.
Make sure that's paused. So, that.
Owning a business comes with pressure. There's a limit to what I can do.
So, that was Saturday. Saturday, they announced that, the lawyer had been doing a big push on this. And I'll show you where I actually found the email.
Owning a business comes with pressure. There's a limit to what I can do and still keep employees engaged.
Sorry about that. I hate it when you're on a news site and it just starts instantly sharing the next video.
Yes.
But I found the letter on Twitter where the attorney sent it to the OSBI, or no, to the DA, begging for the OSBI to step in. So that's really exciting that they're out there putting in time, putting in work, and that they've taken over the case. Catch the part though about a body potentially being found in the pond.
Yeah.
Like,
And then like neighbors discussing weird stuff over there that they didn't understand why they would be like um extending the pond or what
yes,
they were
I got
doing.
that. I got
Yeah.
that for us. So we talked about this on Queens. So if you guys heard us over on Queens, this is like a repeat, but I just wanted to share it all here as well. Okay, let me grab this screen. So this is one of the reporters out there, Kaylee, and here's where she shares. Now, this is from Saturday. I just want to show it all to you, and then we'll move forward to today. If it'll
I'm
let
really
me.
curious. What are your thoughts on? Sorry,
Let me just mute it. Yeah.
that they are going through. They specifically said like the U-Haul as well as the silver car. I forget the type of car it is.
Mhm.
I'm wondering the thing that they didn't mention, and no one has gone as far as I know. Maybe you've seen it. Still, do we know if they took the truck? Has the truck been removed off of the neighbor's
I
property, and
I
has it been
haven't
looked through?
seen that mentioned anywhere about the truck being seized from the neighbor's property. Surely they have, right?
You would think, and since it didn't go back, it's not on their property. I'm wondering if they, but I don't know. No, there's been no say of it, and I would love a reporter to please ask them or
Yeah.
go take a look. Like,
Well, maybe
where
I
is
could
it?
send Kaylee or Aaron a message since they're handling so much of the investigation and see if that's something they have asked about because they have been on top. These two reporters have been on top of it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I'm really curious about that, especially once I found out they were going through vehicles that were on the property. Then
mhm.
I couldn't help but to wonder about that truck.
So here is now Legacy on Twitter shared this and Kaylee retweeted it. This is from the attorney, and this was yesterday. It's just some back and forth where he says that his last resource was the DA, was the only person who agreed to request OSBI for the case because you have to, OSBI has to be requested by either local law enforcement or the DA or something like that to step in and intervene. So Mr. Spaulding reached out to them reached out to the DA to get them involved to have OSBI step in, and they did. So that was great news. And this was the email that he sent to the DA. It says the family of Ivy Webster were shocked to discover that computers and cell phones had not been seized by law enforcement when they viewed the inside of the House of Horrors. No words can express this family's fear. Gives a name. Their baby girl has been placed on the dark web. We demand that law enforcement seize all electronic devices and hunt down all sexual predators who have witnessed the suffering of Ivy Webster. I'm just so proud of him for doing that for them and for, I mean, I know it's his job, but like for stepping up and everything and for OSBI to listen and then to have all of resources sent out
Yeah,
and to find out
yeah,
they're using sonar and they used a sonar and a dive team to investigate the area, the pond and everything. And then yesterday it was reported by either Kaylee or Aaron that there was a ME on site. Well, there was also one again today. So this is so they were there Saturday and then they were there again yesterday, which they didn't have any like footage of that. But then here, this is from today where the Emmy was back out there again. Says OSBI has also left the scene. Crime scene tape was up and it has since been removed. And also the mobile analysis unit, they left today too. But just knowing they were out there for 3 full days means, in my mind, they took a lot of information.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And we typically know that normally there isn't a medical examiner showing up to places that's not necessary to be.
Right.
So
'Cause
that's
I know I had that conversation with another chatter in another live, but I think what they're thinking of is the coroner. A coroner is typically on scene for a very short period of time, uh,
mhm.
or it can be. A medical examiner can also be on scene for a short period of time, but their job is completely different from the coroner. But then let me switch over here to Aaron's. Jones, and I'm with you. The truck is a complete mystery, and I want to know, did they seize the truck? Because Did we talk about it on here, or was it Brittany's last night where we discussed the potential for it being the location for the murder of some of them?
It could have been over at Brittany's.
Yeah, but it's very true that that could have
Yeah.
been where the initial crime scene took place, because law enforcement stated that it looked staged.
Or part of it even could have, maybe not the whole thing, but
Mhm.
could it have maybe started there or ended there? I don't even know. But you do wonder, because why? I can't help but to think, like, what was his purpose in moving the truck over there and then saying he's hiding it? Like, hey, is it okay if I keep it over here? I'm just trying to hide it. Like,
Right.
that tells me that there's something he's trying to hide that's inside that truck or to do with around that truck. If
So
not, why
no,
else?
I'm with you. I'm with
Yeah.
you. So here's where Aaron reports that the medical examiner has just left again, and they had been there since Saturday with dive teams. I talked off camera with a nearby resident who noticed unusual digging taking place on this property about 6 months ago. They said they were expanding the pond, and it seemed like there was no reason to that. Also on Friday, a victim family member told me inside the house they found a ledger with a list of unknown names and ages. The last names on the list were the family and teens killed last week. And then I think actually Kate from Kate Does Crime commented on here and said that she's seen the list, or I saw her comment somewhere. She's seen the list and has went through it, and it wasn't all just the victims. There were other people on there that they're trying to figure out.
Yeah. So it's some of it's a few people that are family, and then it's an act, like some exes of him maybe, and like one of his victims that's like to do with the essay, any of
Right.
that.
You
So
can
it's
say it.
kind of an okay. I don't
Mhm.
understand.
Yep, you can say it. You can use the words here.
Okay, because I do on
But
mine, and then when I get to other people's, I'm like,
I
I
know,
don't want to say anything
I
wrong.
know.
Yeah.
But
So
then also, wasn't there a couple other people on that list that they didn't
yes,
recognize?
sure thing.
Okay, I thought so. That's concerning. That is very concerning.
Yeah.
Then Erin also we had one more update from Erin here that she says. On another note, we tried to get answers on who was in charge of this investigation prior to OSBI. And I think I saw Papa Jones in here, so hopefully he'll help us with some of this if we have questions. We were told District 25 Task Force, but who? That is made up of multiple agencies. The Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office held Monday's news conference. When I called Sheriff Eddie Rice and said there is a lot of public confusion over the investigation process, he said, I caused it and won't answer any questions, referring me to OSBI. So the sheriff was blaming her for causing the confusion. Okay. On Wednesday, calls were passed to Okmulgee Police Department. The crime scene was outside of Henrietta. Chief Joe Prentice is also part of this task force. I called him. He told me to call the DA. The DA didn't answer. The OSBI will only say they are investigating. I spoke with former homicide lead detective Dave Walker from the Tulsa Police. He says clear leadership seems to be a big issue with this case, and he's also confused why a task force was used in this case. He said, you got to be in charge of everything or you're in charge of nothing. So I thought that was very, very telling. We've been suspecting that from the beginning, that they're mishandling it
Yeah. We sure have.
completely.
Mm-hmm.
She did say this last thing here. I did get one answer from Sheriff Eddie Rice. I said at least 2 media outlets are reporting that investigators told them 4 bodies were found inside the house. Remember, we paused that yesterday and we're like, wait, what? They weren't found inside the house. Why are they
Yeah.
saying that?
Right.
She said, I said we were told all 7 were found outside. He said no bodies were found in the house. She's not throwing any blame to those outlets, by the way. If that's what they were told, then that's what they were told, which if there's not clear leadership and everyone, is confused on this case on who's in charge and who's handling what, then it could have easily gotten twisted. And those are the other 5 cell phones that they found later that I didn't have a picture of yesterday.
Oh my gosh, you should have said it to me. I would have sent it to you. I almost
Oh,
did,
well,
and then I was like,
I had it on my phone, but I didn't have it on my computer, and then I just thought here, and I was like, "Oh, those were the ones we were talking about and didn't show."
I thought about sending it over, but then I'm like, I'm sure I'm not sure. And so then I
Mhm.
just didn't.
But
Um,
he said, "Someone dropped the ball." Yep.
I was gonna say, I when they were like doing the crisscross, like the pointing of the finger, and they were like, well, it was OSBI. We were doing the outside property, and OSBI was supposed to be doing inside the home. And then OSBI spoke, and they're like, well, actually, we were just assisting them.
Uh-huh.
And I was so frustrated. I'm like, stop pointing fingers at each other. Like, please, somebody take accountability and step up. And so I don't as much fault OSBI now. I was a little upset about it. But technically, they're right if they were only assisting rather than the lead. But I still get a little frustrated that if you were in there, you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know their job and what they can and can't do. So if you're assisting, I don't know if that means they can walk in and they have the right to open up cupboards and look through stuff just the same, or are they supposed to touch nothing until they're asked to take a
That's
photo?
a great question. I don't know what all they're allowed to do when they're just assisting a case. I'm not for sure. That's a
Yeah.
great question. See, I don't either. That's what I was talking about yesterday. Like, why are they using a task force? Is it because of jurisdiction? We were mentioning that over on Brittany's because this isn't like where the crime took place, isn't within anyone's certain jurisdiction. So maybe that's why the DA pushed the task force. Because when we listened to the press conference again, the DA, you could barely hear her in there, but she does say, "This is my task force."
Mm-hmm. Um, Cody, do you know, like, if somebody is considered just assisting, do you know if they have rules of anything they can't do?
Yeah, he says their initial involvement was just as a consultation. So does that mean they just have to stand there and basically like supervise and they're not allowed to touch anything? But you would think even as supervisors they would say, "Hey, you're missing that big old tray of drugs over there."
Right. That's what I'm wondering. Like, do they have the right to speak up and just say, I think we should take those computer towers? I think, like, even if it wasn't, like you said, the stuff that's out in the open, I
Right.
wonder.
That's great. And then there's one last little tidbit here that I just wanted you all to see. I did upload it. I don't know if you guys can see it better this way. This is, do you know what this is, Burden? This
Uh,
is Jesse's brother's charge.
okay. Mm-hmm.
So his name is Cody Mcfadden. That's Jesse's brother. He was charged less than a year ago with caging a woman and torturing her with electric wire. And it says in here, let me see if I can read it without having to pull it up on my phone, that Charles, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's the DA. It's really tiny. I'm trying to read it. So Cody Mcfadden did then and there unlawfully, willfully, knowingly, and wrongfully commit the crimes of, excuse me, kidnapping on or about the 16th day of July 2022 by forcibly seizing the victim's name and confining her in a dog cage at 9041 Redbird Drive, McAllister, Oklahoma. Is that the property that Jesse purchased and was the ranch that they're always talking about in McAllister?
Quite possibly.
That's what I'm wondering. I'll
We
have to
should
look
look.
it
Yeah,
up.
I was just gonna say that.
So, without lawful authority and with the intent to cause the victim to be confined, imprisoned against her will, it's punishable by up to 20 years. The second count was maiming on that same day. with a premeditated design to injure, maim, and commit mayhem on the body of her by locking her in a dog cage, prodding her with a stick, and shocking her with an electric wire. There was
See,
also
I had heard about the stick. The electric wire,
yeah,
though, that's the first time anybody's, because they
yeah,
didn't say that on any of the new stuff. But the stick one, yeah, they said he was like poking at her through the cage with it.
yeah, and here's where, because he also got the third count is domestic assault, and this one's really hard because it's way at the bottom, and it says, with a dangerous weapon, a stick with force and violence without justifiable or excusable cause and with the unlawful intent to do harm to her body. I was just blown away. What's wrong with this family? And then when you combine that in, because we're not about, blaming families and stuff over here, but when you combine that in with what we know about his mom getting a phone call from him the night before, and then this is already, the brother's already done this where he has imprisoned a woman inside of a dog cage on his property and shocked her with an electrical wire. You get that call from your son that, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," you should take that pretty serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, that's what I was saying. Was she trying to protect? She probably thought in her mind, I don't want to throw my boy under the bus. I don't want the police, if I say he's made these threats, they're going to take him away. He's going to get in trouble, locked up. It'll be my fault. So I'm going to protect him. And then you did the complete opposite of protection.
Complete opposite of protection. Sorry. She allowed that harm to happen to those. No, I don't wanna put it on her like that. She had information that was very important that she absolutely should have called law enforcement. There's no excuse for the fact that she did not call law enforcement.
Mm-hmm. I have a question.
Mhm.
Does your mind remember? I know at least one of the cell phones that they collected when they did the press conference. They said that they had recovered 2 cell phones. I know
Yes.
one of them, they said, quick question, were they both outside? I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure they were.
that's what he said. That was one of the things we listened to the press conference again for, and he said that they were recovered not far from the bodies.
I thought so. Okay, so I'm
Mhm.
wondering, I actually just put in chat though, I'm wondering if it's possible, because it didn't even click until Cody just said that it would be that they only took stuff that was on the search warrant. And my brain was like, hold on a second. Could it be possible that the search warrant for the house didn't even have electronics on it? And that's why not a single electronic from inside that home was taken. And that, they did the outside, they collected
Mm.
the, if both those phones, because I knew one was for sure. I just want to confirm with you that it was both.
Yeah, I guess it would just depend on what was on the search warrant. Because I did, after Clean Slide, I went over and dug out our whole case file and went through it, and, like, the search warrant on it just states anything, that they deemed valuable as evidence in the investigation of their crime anywhere on the property. But all search warrants are different, they're all wrote different. That's very true. That's what I and then independent thinker, you're thinking along the same lines as me, girlfriend. How did How did Holly not know this? Surely she knew this about Cody, her brother-in-law. Remy, it does sound like a nightmare. The whole thing sounds like a nightmare.
You
But
want, and I
what
would assume it probably just got brushed off too, like, oh no, no, Cody being a bad guy. No, no, it's just this or that. No, but you do
no.
wonder exactly how much was said. I mean, come on, it's so frustrating.
But I was very encouraged, and I wanted everyone to know that they are back out there. They've used sonar. They've dove through the pond. They had a backhoe out there, and evidently they found something. We don't know what it is. I don't know if we'll ever know what it is, but in my opinion, they found something.
Yeah, I'm so happy though that, and now they do have the lead, and they don't have to sit back and yeah, that was something I was very much like. At first, I was upset that they kind of said, "Well, we were just assisting," but then I kind of sat and thought on that and realized, like, well, that may be that their hands are tied in some of the aspects. So, but yeah, I'm happy that they have it. And I mean, I don't know. I worry a bit too, hearing from, I meant to look that up, hearing from other people that say that they're locals and talking about there being heavy trafficking ring that goes right through that area. And it does make me want to explore that some more and just kind of look into it. But there's somebody in Oklahoma, and I still got to look into it. But did you see today a person that got hit with many charges for child pornography and all of that? Did you hear
No,
about that?
no.
No.
There?
I'm curious if he had any connection to Jesse at all.
You'll have to send me that.
I will.
Yeah.
He sent
Thank
over.
you, crazy Italian lady. They looked it up and they said the address for that was on Cody's was for a mobile home on a less than 1 acre lot. So it's probably not
Could that
the
be the
ranch.
brothers? The brother had the mobile home that he caught fire when.
Yeah, that's Cody's. That's where that
Yeah.
charge I read off was from. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call you Poppy Jones. I don't want to get the Cody's confused. He said, if the search warrant was for the persons on or within the property boundaries, was for persons only, yes, that could be the reason. I guess we'll have to FOIA that and find out.
That's a good question from Cody too. About whether they actually looked, did they actually dig the area?
Well, I think they did something.
But they were talking, this man had over 700 files of child pornography and also some with bestiality. And I'm just really, and also some of his like bond charges talk about like electronic transmission and whatnot. So it's not, to me, I'll send it over to you, but to me, it's not just that he kept it to himself. It appears that he was circulating things. And so,
Well, do you remember? Well, was it you that brought it up? You brought up the or maybe it was over. I don't remember. My brain's frazzled from the trial and all this. But you remember those clear plastic totes with all the files in them when they did the walkthrough of the house? Oh, it was
yes.
Grain who brought it up. Thank you, Grain. It was where the pink double-headed dildo was found. That's sitting on top of these clear tubs that are full of paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you mentioned that about files and stuff, that's instantly what came to my brain was that.
And also, I wonder, and it's obviously the brother didn't have charges to do with anything sexual, but I do wonder very much, why did he burn? I don't know if him burning down his trailer, his mobile home, was in an attempt to try to take his life. Like that's all he had, he felt, and then he just tapped out. He couldn't take it and he ran out of the house. Or was it because there was other stuff inside the home that could be evidence that would be used against him, and that's why he caught it on fire?
Oh, that's a good question.
And then I feel worried that they didn't try to see what they could salvage. I wonder, did he have anything? I mean, he's a brother. Who knows if they sent stuff back or forth? I don't know. But I just wonder what's on his devices or in his files, anything like that. That could have been destroyed in the fire.
It could have been, and that's very true. Very true. Grumpy, Grandma Sherry just dropped all the links, and so those are ones I would go check out if you want to find out some more info on it. And also, allegedly with Brittany J covered it last night as well. And we talked a little bit about it on Queens today, and I'm sure she'll cover it more in depth. Cody, you bring up a great question here. They said that the property owner had cleaned the horse barn and dumped the waste in the area and turned the ground. Did the officers just take them at their word or dig that area? That's another good question that I'm writing down.
That was the question. I said it was a good question, and then I said, or did they dig the area? And then I had a feeling you didn't know what I was talking about. I agree, though. Good question. I really agree. For sure. There's so many questions that I've started to put some and then I forget to write others. So I like that. It seems like you're being pretty good at like writing your stuff.
Mhm. I just feel like there's gonna be so much more that comes out with this case. I hope I'm wrong. I truly do hope I'm wrong. I hope that this was not recorded and not put online. I hope that there are not other victims. I hope I am completely wrong on all of that, but I just have a bad feeling about it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm so happy though that there is movement, and
They're
I hope
taking
that
it serious now. Yeah.
yeah, I hope that they get answers, and I could tell at least with Ivy's parents that it's going to be hard no matter what, but I feel like they want to know, they need to know all of it. Like that's it. They want to know the truth, what was going on, what happened, and then I just think it's really important for them for sure. Where some people just don't really want to know the details. They don't want to know what happened.
Yeah, they wanna know, they wanna get to the bottom of it, and I think that's great, and I hope they do, and then Rowena, that's the reason that it stuck out to me, because that house and this is not me knocking Holly or anything, but that house was it was gross. I mean, we saw the sticky trap with the bugs and the roaches on it, and we saw the shape that the home was in, and the only thing organized was those totes. What was in
Yeah,
those totes?
yeah, you're right. Like the even I don't. It's shocking, and I'm curious. Like, there's got to be more too that we don't even know, and just off what we have seen in the home,
Mhm.
it's just a lot.
Glenn, yes, if you're just coming in and you wanna go back later and check it out, OSBI, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, took the lead on the case, and they've spent the last 3 days combing through the property. There have been footage of a backhoe going in to dig up something. There have been divers out in the pond. The lawyer made it sound like they found something in that pond. Um What else was there? They took a whole U-Haul truck full of things away from the property. So, there's some movement, some things are happening. We just don't know what yet, but there are some things happening. Now, that lawyer said on his Twitter that he did 2 hours of an interview with, News Channel 4, and we've only seen, like, a minute of it so far, so I'm gonna keep an eye on News 4 and see if more information comes out about his interview. We don't, Steph B. We don't know, like, their exact time of death, and I know that that can be hard to determine. It's not always easy to determine time of death, unfortunately.
When they're that close together, it isn't.
Mhm.
If it's within a couple days, and so that they could they could tell with a lot of
Right.
they could tell. But when it's something that quick, for example, if it was like he went 1, 2, 3, like that quick,
Mhm.
they're not gonna know. The best you could do is try to look at the scene.
I would say right, like, if it's within a few hours, I don't think they'll be able to figure that out. Now, if some
Right.
of those family members were killed the night before, 18 hours before or something, I think they'll probably be able to figure that out based on rigor mortis, but if it's close, like Burton's saying, within a couple hours, I don't think that they'll be able to narrow it down that tight.
Right. I would love to know about that truck. I'll message them too, and maybe if
Mhm.
they're seeing that maybe they just have the answer. That would be cool.
They
But
might. That would
if
be
not, they might look into it. If they're seeing that the public and people are curious about that truck, they may not have even thought about it to ask. So
Terrell
I hope.
Johnson, I am afraid that they're going to, even just one, and it might not even be linked to Jesse. I mean, we know his brother's capable of some pretty twisted stuff now too, so I don't know. Okay, Burden, have they used cadaver dogs or anything? Cause see, guys, you gotta remember, they went out there and local law enforcement were like, "Oh, murder, suicide, we're done. We're out." Barely did anything. So I don't know that they've taken dogs out there and done like a thorough sweep of the property.
Right. To this point, unless they are doing it now that they're starting to actually look around and check further, maybe, and I'm hope that might be another thing we could ask, but prior to that, you're exactly right. They didn't. They said, like, they put up the drone, found the truck, went
Mhm.
over, they ended up getting to the property, and then boop, they saw them. I mean, it's none of them were buried or anything like that. So it was all really relatively quick find of the people, and they all were accounted for, and then they like kind of like dusted off their hands and okay, we did, it's done.
Yep,
That's all.
we're
And
good to
so
go.
yeah, but he's right. I do hope that now, like, please have the dogs out there.
Penny, I don't think it would have been. If that video wouldn't have been, made public or put out on national news on News Nation, I don't think that the DA would have requested OSBI to step in. That's just my personal opinion.
And I think that all this like, credit, like I know that some family member was like they didn't really want to get into the details of what was in the home, but I am so proud of Ivy's father that he
Mhm.
spoke up and he said, you know what? No, I'm going to give you access. Come with me. Come look, and showed the world what really was going on inside
Mhm.
there and allowed it to get out to the nation. And I think that that completely falls and to the father. I think he made the right call personally.
How long have they lived on the property? Do you know that, Burden? When I looked it up on that screenshot that I shared with you, um, but it wasn't the tax assessor's document, but it said over a year, but I don't know that to be, like, the only time. That's just what Intelli said. It's not
I
always right,
can't remember off the top of my head,
but I
but
might
I
have
think it was stated by a family member. I believe she did say when they moved into that one,
but
but
grandma might have. And it was Holly's name on the lease, so she could have been there before she even got with Jesse.
right, exactly right. Um, I'm gonna listen back to it and see if she did say when they moved in, or like whether it was Holly first and then he joined, or was that another location? Telling you.
Mhm. They found the truck at the neighbor's property by using a drone when they went out there initially with the search warrant, and this is all on, WFLA's initial, video on this because they were out there looking around too. But they went out to serve the search warrant because he didn't show up for court. They sent a drone up however long later, and that's when they spot his truck. In the process of spotting the truck, they also spotted overturned dirt, which is what we now believe to be the homeowner's son, the landlord's son, said that he had cleaned out the horse barn and dumped the dirt somewhere else and then buried it, which is a normal practice. But that was enough for them to obtain a search warrant to go on the property to look for the victims, and that's when they found the victims.
We don't know if they found another body. Like, we
No.
don't know yet, but there are some things that are kind of making it look like they might have, but we don't know.
They did say that. Well, the way it was worded was because it was Ivy's mother who had said that Ivy had been going over there for years, but I don't know if that means just going over to Holly's house and visiting with Holly's kids for years or if that means the actual property. I did take it to mean the actual property too.
Wasn't his first rodeo. Yeah, I don't.
We don't know. It sounds like there's definitely the possibility of another body, but the way they worded it is well, the way that the um, attorney worded it is they found something in the pond.
Yeah, Penny, for your thoughts. That seems, if they were there 2 days in a row.
Mhm. Well, and then to bring a backhoe out, also, like, I don't know, maybe sonar just found something, and it coulda ended up being nothing, but then when you add in the ME to it, right, just has your mind speculating things.
Right.
I do too, Rowena. I think his mom should be questioned. Hopefully, she has been questioned. Um, and hopefully, it's not a case like Oakley Snows where we all believe that, Rowan's mother was involved somehow. Hopefully, that's not the case. But
Oh
I'm
my
just shocked she
goodness.
didn't call anyone.
Yeah, I've just been thinking that she was like negligent in the way of trying to protect her son, so she's not gonna call police on them. But that would be pretty crazy if we find out that she actually did have more knowledge than we're aware of and was keeping some of their secrets, and that would be, ugh,
Right, that Cody, that is a possibility that they could call out the Emmy if they had found, like, a horse bones or something like that to identify and make sure that they weren't human remains. I'm just leaning a certain direction when they talk about finding something in the pond and, having them back out 2 days in a row, but it could be you're absolutely right, it could be non-human remains that were found. Is there a bad testicle? I love that name, by the way, the good testicle.
I laugh. There's somebody with the name Farku, and every time I say their name, I always giggle. Like it never fails. The first time I ever read it, though, I didn't read it in advance, so I just read what I saw and then realized what I said out loud. I was like, "That's very funny."
Yeah.
The property owner gives you bad vibes. Do you have any thoughts on any thoughts at all about the property owner and if they had any knowledge of anything or
I
did
don't know. I've tried to do more digging into the property owner's son. I haven't gotten very far yet, but I understand the chat might not agree with me on this, but I understand if this horrific thing took place on your property that you're renting out, you're going to want to try to move along quickly. And if law enforcement have said, okay, crime scene's over, it's all back in your hands, I understand their urgency to move on with life if they're not involved at all. But it comes across as in poor taste, absolutely, to say, "You need to get in here and do whatever you wanna do by Monday, because then we're gonna dump it all." So,
I agree with both of your statements. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I get it. You get their desire to move on and not be in the public
Mhm.
light and have all this chaos going on. But yeah, at some point, your humanity, you think it would kind of step in a little bit and not be rushing these parents. And come on, if you want anything, get out. Let's go. If not, it's all going to the dump. I
Well,
don't know.
we
Go ahead.
what? No, go ahead, I was just gonna answer a comment, but I can do it in a second.
I don't know. Do you feel like that's a rush time? 1 week from when they were found, they were expected to have it completely cleaned out. Or
Mm,
do you worry at all that it would possibly take away any evidence? Like maybe they didn't have time to do a thorough
well, that's
investigation.
that's why I'm like, I understand, like, if the property owner has nothing to do with this family or anything like that, has no knowledge or anything, it makes sense that if when the crime scene is turned back over to them, that they're like, "Yeah, let's get this crap out of here and try to, rebuild from this madness." But my concern is that the crime scene was turned over so quickly. It was just instantly gone through, walked through, and then they're like, "Okay, it's not a crime scene anymore." Whereas, OSBI has now been out there 3 days. It took them 3 days to do a thorough investigation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my thing. A little bit of concern that it's rushed
Yeah.
for the investigation part.
Yeah. And in the landlord's favor, allegedly there was no, murders inside the home, so that where you don't have that same situation like you do in Idaho 4 where, you have this gruesome, thing happening in the home. So there are differences, and like I said, it's weird to say it, but there are.
I wonder, I'm I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge on this, and maybe you do. Isn't it supposed to be stated to somebody that were to come? And I don't even know if it would matter with renting or if it's just a purchase of a home, that if somebody has lost their life there, that it needs to be told to the person that would be the buyer.
No, you do
I
not have to disclose it depends
know.
on your state, I should say.
Okay.
Depending on what state you live in, when you resell a property, you do not have to disclose any deaths or criminal activities on the property. Here in Illinois, you do not, but there might be states where you do have to disclose that, but there
Hmm.
are several states where you do not have to disclose that there was a murder or that it was a drug house or any of those things.
Hmm.
Mm.
Only if buying, Rowena. I wonder if that state is any different.
What one? Did I Oh, hey, JC. No, I don't look at that. How close am I? That would be nice, though, if we did do that, we could do a fundraiser for Summer's day. I almost said birthday, it's not her birthday. I don't have membership screen. So there is no iPhone link. Uh, yeah, you looked at the yeah, so it's technically up to, when you're buying a home, and like I said, it depends on the state. Um, some states might have that you have to disclose that, but when you're buying a home, look up that address, see what all's happened to that at that address, right? Okay, so Rowena says in Tennessee you do and sign that no biohazard materials are there. Yeah, so it's going to be different for each state.
So I did put in Oklahoma, and this one doesn't specify right here, but it does say if, oh, it just took me away. Okay, so if you live in like California, South Dakota, Alaska, there are expectations to the, or exceptions to the rule. Um, any death on property needs to be disclosed if it occurred within the last 3 years.
Mm,
And then the seller must also disclose any known death in the home if the buyer asks. Oh, wow. So if you live in one of the 3 states, check your state's housing authority.
yeah, that's
Okay.
crazy.
Wow. That's interesting that they
Now,
don't.
right here in Illinois, if you obviously can't lie, so your real estate agent, if they're selling your property for them and someone says, "Was there a murder here?" They can't lie to you. They have
Right.
to disclose it if they're asked. So
That's interesting. I wouldn't have
maybe
specifically.
always ask that from now
Yeah,
on.
sure. Oh my gosh.
It's the weird things we learn in life, isn't it?
Especially doing things that have to do with anything in the true crime realm and like the weird things that we learn that we didn't know.
I don't know, Cody, because I didn't used to do many lives, and this case has me, going live every now and then to talk about it. But so I just felt like I'd be gypping members if I did memberships. Oh, so Rowena says that in Tennessee, the biohazard aspect was added within the last 18 years. Okay. Oops.
So, like in
Mhm.
Arizona, a real estate agent said that's in Arizona advised all buyers to Google the address of the home that they're interested in, and they might
Mhm.
return with stories discussing different crimes and murder that may have happened there too. That's a good idea.
That's why I said from now on, we'll just ask that out. If
They'll
there's
be like,
anyone
"What's the
here,
matter with
let me
you?"
know. Okay, that's a great question. Would you live in a house that someone was murdered in?
Ooh, I personally, I don't think so. So I know
Um,
some people believe in ghosts or spirits or whatnot lingering around, and some others don't believe in
mhm,
it at all. Um, I don't know. I was raised with my family all insisting that the home that we grew up in, if it was a farmhouse, and they when they bought it, actually, something was stated about the people giving up the home because they couldn't take it anymore, that they heard voices talking down in the cellar, in the basement, and they couldn't take it anymore. And I like looked at I'm like, what is the matter with you guys? Why would you still buy it then? But they did. And so they told some stories of things that happened to them, and they included me in one of them. And like I know that feeling of like fear when you're scared of something, but I can't remember the actual time that it happened. They said that me being a child, I had a reaction to one of the rooms when they were carrying me, and I started to scream and bloody murder, and then they stepped out of the room with me, and I stopped, and then they stepped back in, and I freaked out because my dad was like, give her to me. And then when he stepped in with me, I was freaking out. And then my dad said, everybody get out, get downstairs, we're done, it doesn't matter what the sound was, get downstairs. And so like I'm a part of one of their stories, but I mean,
wow.
I can't say either way. So either
Right.
way, off of that, growing up being afraid of the home I was in, I don't want to do that again, whether it's real or not, or I don't really want to do it. Not by choice. If I knew, I'd probably not.
Probably not. So you're saying you probably wouldn't.
Probably
I
not.
didn't see anything new from K4. I saw what we played at the beginning of this, but I don't see anything else new. So
Would you? Would you do you?
would I? Probably, because it depends. It depends. I don't know that I could live in a home where like the Idaho 4, I don't know that I'd want to live there or anything. But I don't believe in like
In
evil
like
spirits or things like that. So
right?
I believe that to be separate from the body is to be present in the afterlife. So I don't know. I think it would just depend.
Which
But
is wild
if I
because
didn't know the person or anything, I don't think I'd have a problem with it at all.
well, and that's the craziest part about it is I've never heard that specifically anybody did lose their life on that property or like in the home. So I don't even know where these like ghosts, like where are they coming from? Like where I don't know.
Oh, we're at
But you're
10.
right. Hmm?
I didn't we're at 10K. That's awesome, guys.
Congratulations.
Now we definitely have to set up something for summer. Thank you guys. I need to scroll.
Aw,
I was looking for that article
congratulations.
and not looking at the chat. See, I'm with Crazy Italian. I think a murder would be easier than a meth lab because, okay, if you bought a home that was, of course, I don't know that I'd be buying a home that was ever potentially a meth lab. But if you did, then what if you had people just showing up at your house?
Oh my gosh,
That's what
yes.
I'd be afraid of.
Yes. And especially with meth all the more that do you think that they would realize 5 years later that you had gone and moved away? No. They would still they don't know. They just go on over there expecting, yeah, that would be wild.
I would be. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. I didn't even know we were close. Thank you guys.
You deserve growth in your channel and more people to come and listen to you because you put out true information, factual information, you research and look into what you are talking about. And if you don't know something, you look into it. If you
For
got
sure.
something a little wrong, you let everyone know so that it doesn't continue to be spread. And you're just a very responsible creator. And so I'm proud of you. And I hope that you continue to grow.
Thank you, Burden. I know some people are turned off by covering drama stuff or covering bad actors and stuff like that, but I'm never gonna stop doing both. Right now, I'm really busy digging into this case, so I'm not clipping as much, which is what happens. Like when I was busy digging into the Idaho 4 case, I wasn't clipping as much, but then there'll be times where I'll go back to not doing this and be clipping more. So I know that that turns some people off, and I'm okay with it. Like I felt like in the beginning I had to do one or the other, and no, I'm not gonna put myself in a box anymore. Thank you guys. You guys are so sweet. I'm just scrolling through the chat.
I'm
Y'all are the best.
actually going to reverse up the chat. And yeah, it went for a long while because I lost my chat box, but I'm going through it and I love it. I love that they show you so much love. You really deserve that.
Murder would be easier than a meth lab. I'm telling you, I think I would much rather live in a house where someone was murdered than live in a house that was previously a meth lab. Just saying. Yes, Gigi, we're so, so glad that they found Letitia guilty.
Oh, that was so emotional and just wow. I mean, obviously the right verdict for sure, but it's really hard to hear specifically both of his parents speaking and their pain in their heart, and obviously they got justice, but man, Atlanta and the judge, oh,
If I did memberships, I don't know what I would do to make him I'll think about that, guys. I just hate to cut y'all short, like, if I did a membership and that didn't provide you something for it. So, I will think on it, but
do you have a Discord for like just your own?
no.
Would you ever consider it?
I don't know. I could, I guess. I don't want the hassle, the drama that comes with the Discord, I don't think. Like, you've seen some channels that do Discords, and they can get pretty drama filled, and I'm not about that.
Yeah,
For
I
myself
totally.
personally, I'm okay with covering it, but I don't want I don't wanna, encourage it.
Yeah, I mean it would yeah, I mean when it comes to the stuff that you clip, yeah, that would be kind of hard. The true
Mhm.
crime part, I could tell you, like there isn't in mine. There's no drama because what are you gonna argue about? I mean, it's all missing and like true
Yep.
crime, but I'm sure people might want to talk about things you clip too. So yeah,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
that's a thought maybe of something you could do. But you're right, a lot does come with it, and if you have people that help you, it helps a whole lot. But if you don't like me, when you try to run it yourself, it is a lot of it's an extra thing on the plate.
Ooh, yeah, we could have fun emojis, that would be fun.
That would be cute.
Yes, I agree, Evil Queen, the judge in this case was amazing. I think he did a phenomenal job. I love the way he spoke. I love the way he handled his court. He let just enough be done and shown to allow the jury to see that, but then he put his foot down when he needed to. I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I
I
agree. And I see a lot of people, and it's true. You could do it without giving something like the give the cute emojis, things like that. But a lot of people really get the membership just to simply support. That's they don't. It's not about getting anything else from you.
true. That's true.
Yeah, and it's true. There's quite a lot, and I know a lot of people that do support you and would like to support you further. So that's a possibility you could do
Mm.
too. Just
Something to think about for sure. Are you crazy Italian lady, are you talking about murder or are you talking about meth lab? I'm just curious which one, because that could apply to both. Oh, I saw thank you, Grace.
I beat him.
I'm gonna be asking so many people I know now that question. Would you rather live in a house where there was a murder or a meth lab?
Dates. I want to make it a poll question tonight when I do
There
mine.
you
I'll make it a
go.
poll and we'll see which way people are leaning.
Yes, yes. I do too. So I was actually just telling someone last night, I don't do memberships under deeds because I just don't think that that's fair considering, the clips that I do. But under my original YouTube channel, I still hold several memberships at several channels. And even though I don't go in there under that name anymore, it's just to support those creators. So I get what you're saying. I do like to do a membership just to support the creator.
It's definitely a good thought. Keep it in mind.
Who has a So that's what I'm doing with which isn't a ton, but it's all set back for future baby Deet, grandbaby Deet. Well, after 25% of it's donated.
Aw.
T-Bat, she want to choose her cell? I thought she just wanted to choose the prison that she was going to, and the judge was like, "I don't determine that."
Oh yeah, I heard just the prison.
That's what I thought it was too. Gigi, you have a missing. Oh, interesting.
They're gonna have a strike. They're gonna go on strike if you don't get memberships.
We'll figure it out, guys. I promise. I am never you shut your mouth. I've never been a member of the Bullhorn Betty channel.
Were you ever gifted any memberships to any of the channels that you clip?
Yes, I have, which I don't know how to turn it off. I think the other Deets might have been the one that turned it on, and so I could figure out how to turn it off, but, um, I had a membership under Deets at Bullhorn Betty, I think 1 month, and then at, what's his face? Dolly's a month or 2, and then there was somewhere else, I think, that I clipped it.
Well, man, with Dolly, you're getting to the point that you have to, or he's like trying to lock everything up and make it that, I don't know, what is he calling it now? Like the rocks or something? Pebbles, rocks, pond rocks or something? I
I
don't know.
don't know what
Did
that
you hear
was.
about that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
Oh, BVK, it took me a second to realize who you're talking about. I'm like, "Well, I don't wanna be Jeffrey Dahmer." Yeah. Ooh. Thank you, Massel Sarah. We Bird and I both hopped up on Brittany's last night, and there was a really great conversation over there covering all of this.
yeah, it was.
She
It
does a
was.
great job.
And I think that kind of helped too with the mentioning about the truck. And is that where some of it possibly occurred? Like that makes me think, like, did they get a hold of the truck?
Mhm. That's okay, that's on my list for our next live. We're gonna figure out, how long did they live on the property? What happened with the truck? Anything else we need to look into now?
Oh, I know those are the two that we were talking about. But I don't even remember where I wrote it now.
Does anybody else have any more questions for us to figure out about this case? Because I want to make sure I write them down and we get to the bottom of them. Hey, small wildflowers. Did you all hear about the high school coach from Wisconsin who had a camera? No, no. Okay, writing that down to look up too.
Yeah, there's some that they're discussed, yeah, in the schools and locker room. And was it in the girls' locker room? Oh my gosh.
Oh, so Cody, you want to know where he killed himself? I think they said he was by the other 3 family members, but I will confirm that.
Yeah, as far as I know, yes, it was where
Mhm.
it ended up being like 4 of them. He was next to the ones that looked stage, I believe.
Yep, that's how I took it as well. Did he work and doing what? So he did have a TikTok, and I've seen one TikTok from it. I don't know if it's still up, where he's up on like a tower, but it looks like it's right there on the property. I don't He mentioned in the text message that he sent to his previous victim that he had a job in marketing, but I will confirm his job.
Cadaver dogs. Good. Thank you for saying that. That's the other thing that we wanted to ask about. If cadaver
Yes.
dogs have been out there.
Thank you. Put that down. Oh, thank you, BVK. That would be great. You can just email me if you find that out. That would be if you do find that out. I'm gonna write down that you're gonna look into that.
They want to know if there's any missing people's names on that list.
So I think Kate was looking into that, but I can finish watching her because I only had like 10 minutes left on her last live. I don't know if she went over it, but I'll see what she found. And then, did the 2 girls visit there after he married her or just before? So we want to know when they visited. And I might try to work on like a timeline video of all of this just so we have like a short, 10 or 15-minute video that people can reference for a lot of the facts. Because I know that's, when you start to do a live, we, you know, chit chat for an hour and there's 20 minutes worth of information. So
Right.
if we can put it into a short little video, that'll be helpful. So, okay, so the good testicle said he's curious about, or she, I shouldn't have put a gender on you, but they're curious about Holly being pen pals with his cellmate. Now, Burden, you want to explain that? Because you explained that to me the other night, what you knew.
Yeah, so the cellmate got contacted by Holly. Holly had a desire to start pen paling with somebody that was in prison. She went through the list of people. She ended up choosing the cellmate and was corresponding back and forth with him, having, I believe, calls and even visitations. And even with all of that, that is still not how Holly and Jesse got a hold of each other's phone number or information or anything. But she was kind of dating the cellmate. They were like in a loose relationship. I mean, as much as you can when one is in prison and y'all haven't really met. And anyway, so fast forward, he continues to stay in touch with her. He had, even after all the time, even when she was with Jesse. But Jesse went through the cellmate's belongings behind his back and ended up finding Holly's phone number and contacting Holly after he had been moved out of that prison. He left that prison, and at that point, somewhere over during that time frame, he contacted Holly, and that's how the two of them even really started to date and get to know each other. And the cellmate did contact her, down the road and found out that she had gotten married. He's like, hey, I see on he might have been out of prison at that point, but he said, I see that you have a name change. You, what's up? And she's like, yeah, we're married. Um, and he said something about the children, like, how are your children? And she said, they're good, they're good. And then she asked him about his children, and the convo kind of just moved along. But he still wished her good, and she wished him good, and everything still was very civil with them. But yeah, so that's how Jesse even got a hold of Holly to begin with. She was seeking out a pen pal, not specifically him though. Yeah, pretty ironic.
Yeah. So Miss Mad Hatter said, does anyone know what the text message said from one of the girls to her family? So the text message that they received on Sunday morning that they don't believe was from Ivy said that they were going to the ranch in McAllister. And then later that evening, and that I don't know if they said if if the text said she'd be home at 5 or if the family said back to her, okay, be home at 5. But then around 5 is when Jesse actually called the family and said that they were running late. And that was the last anyone had heard.
Shellbell, yes, we did notice it, but I didn't notice it while I was actually had the opportunity to
Yes.
ask if she got to see it before he deleted it or before he unsent it. I don't know why I didn't get to ask her, did she see it and then he unsent it, or did he do it so quick she doesn't even know what it was? But we did see it, yeah.
And we had mentioned, and maybe if you do speak with Kate or something, because she's in contact with her to see if that is still in the notifications, because sometimes they linger in the notifications. And I know, depending on what kind of phone she has, like my iPhone stores notifications for weeks. So even if it didn't, even if it was unsent, there's, you know what I'm talking about, there still might be part of it in the notification.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I'm wondering, yeah, and if there was a picture, even another one attached or something. But yeah,
Queen Bella, I remember hearing that and I don't know if it was a rumor or if it was stated as a fact, but someone had heard recently that all the family members' cell phones had fallen into water.
so the mom was I should clarify, Holly's mother was sent a text message from Holly's phone. I believe it was Holly's. We don't even know. I'm not even sure. They didn't specify who it was, but it was Holly, supposedly. And she said, don't worry, Mom. If you don't happen to hear from any of us over the weekend, don't freak out. I happened to drop all of our cell phones into a mud puddle. And then the mother wrote back and said, then how are you sending this text? And she never heard from her ever again. She never got a response. But yeah, that came from the family, from Holly's family, that passed that along. And that happened on, I have it written down, so actually let me look. I'll tell you the exact day. Hold on a second.
Oh, Shellbell, I don't know if anyone will be able to answer that question, but it's a pos because if the roommate or the cellmate, I shouldn't say roommate, but if the cellmate had told him anything about Holly, then he would have possibly known that, and it could be why, you're right.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they don't have a lot to talk about in there, so they
Mhm.
probably talked about. I'm pretty sure he even said that he kind of like. I'm not for sure, so I don't want to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
He knew that obviously he was talking to a woman though, named Holly.
Okay, so I've got 11 questions wrote down, guys. I will definitely be looking into them all, and, if anything new pops up like it did in the last 24 hours, I'll probably go live to talk about it. I'm trying to really stay on top of this one. I find it very disheartening the way law enforcement handled it in the beginning, and I do not say that lightly. And it has coming from a family with several law enforcement members in different agencies, it is very, very frustrating to see. And maybe that's why I'm so drawn to it because it's just frustrating to see that these victims are not getting their justice. And I know a lot of people will say, well, he's dead, so there's no justice to be had. Well, I don't think that's true because their family members and their loved ones, in my opinion, deserve the confirmation that there are not other victims out there. And so it's very disheartening to see them drop the ball on things.
Yeah, I completely agree.
What did Cody, did you say something? Another question that has bugged me for a while. Maybe just one he heard. Okay. Right. Well, it could still be true. He could have been messaging her on his phone and just logged in because it wasn't a text message, it was a Facebook message. So he could have just logged into Holly's Facebook account if he knew her information and was still using his phone, but you're right. Who knows?
So it was Friday.
Mhm.
Friday that, sorry, I'm just kind of answering back, looping back on my thing. It was Friday when um, Holly's mother received a text that said, Mom, don't freak out if you can't get a hold of me this weekend. I dropped all of our cells in a mud puddle. And then sent right back was, then how are you texting me?
And
So
then
that was
nothing.
Friday.
Okay. Caitlin, so I've heard 2 things. That he was on the registry, but when you went and searched somewhere, I can't remember, like, if it was the, neighborhood watchdog site or something, he wasn't found there. But if you were to go through the actual Oklahoma registry, he was on it. Now he's not on it anymore. They quickly yanked him off of there after all this happened. But from what I heard from people who looked at the very beginning, he was on the Oklahoma registry, but he wouldn't have been on um, what town is Henrietta's registry, like on their town police website registry because he was outside of city limits. But he was on the Oklahoma registry. See, I have complete opposite experience than that, and that's coming from dealing with a rural law enforcement that they do, you know, like I said, with our own story, they took a year long to investigate it, and it was kind of a open and closed case of murder suicide. So, and the couple other handful of cases that I've discussed with a family member last night, they're like, "Nope, you still got to do the investigation, and you still got to do a thorough investigation." So, I haven't had that experience, so I think that's why it frustrates me.
Well, that, and I'm not sure. I'm not. I'm not sure that it's all only emotion with this one because I feel like there was enough reason for concern having to do with him having the conviction.
Well, and
The
having the
girls,
solicitation of minors,
right?
so you have all these devices. They should have investigated it.
Yeah,
Bex, that's a definitely a conversation for another day because I know there are a lot of people that feel that way, and these are reasons why.
yeah. That's always a sticky one because I never want to go too far with my opinion. I
Mhm.
obviously have an opinion, and And I don't on all the other crimes and whatever, but that kind I do. And I try just not to go overboard with it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I have a great idea. Let's end this live with something cute and funny.
Yes, I love ending pretty funny.
I saw Joneson drop this video earlier, and she has. If you're not subbed up to Joneson, you're missing out because one, she's freaking hilarious, and two, she has the best videos.
I agree. And yeah, so Cody, he said, but let me say this. I think that they dropped the ball so fast in an attempt to hide the fact that they dropped the ball and 6 innocent people died. Yeah.
I think you're right.
I agree.
Cody said he'll never sub to Joneson. Well, thank you guys. I'll close it out with her latest George dance, but thank you all for coming in here and listening to this. All the pertinent information's at the very beginning, and definitely check it out if you came in late.
Thanks for having me, Updates.
Thank you, Burden, for coming up and helping with me.
Absolutely. Enjoy the evening.
Thanks, you too. We have a good one. I think Burnt Toast is live, so I'm sure a lot of people will be heading over there to hear her because she always has something good going on. But I thank you all for being here. Thanks for getting us up to 10K. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to look into the fundraiser because those fundraisers that you can do once you're at 10K, they go straight to whatever cause you pick. I think EquiSearch would be a great one in honor of summer. So maybe we'll come up with something for that. It doesn't go through me, doesn't, no hand or money is passed through my hands or anything. It goes straight to EquiSearch. And I think that would be great to honor summer with. So I am happy for that. I didn't even notice. So thank you, Tracy, for telling me. And that's okay, Jones, and do your thing, girl. We're going to close this out with your amazing George.